Hey there. So, I've been on this long journey this past several months within the world of creativity, doing stuff like learning new methods, working, and also lack of work at different places. And with this time, I just decided to make a video and also a tutorial of a character, or I guess more of like a prop since I'm not really planning to animate or anything, but who knows, maybe I might. As you can see, I don't really have any set direction with this. I just wanted to be creative and make something because I feel like in this day and age, I believe many are struggling in the world of entertainment due to stuff like company shutdown, which I was involved in multiple times, layoffs, or even AI, and it's just a very stressful time for creatives to survive, including myself. So yeah, I needed that outlet. I needed that purpose and focus to distract me away from the stress. And doing this artwork hopefully can be my outlet. So the series of videos I'm about to create is a tutorial of my techniques, but it's also a learning experience for me to just try out different things. But yeah, most importantly, it's a video about me as a creative expressing my passion and joy towards what I like to do. And yeah, also talk about the struggle I'm facing, which I hope I can relate to some of you who are facing similar hardships. Usually, I create my tutorials to sell on ArtStation to make that, a couple bucks, but this one I'm just gonna post it on YouTube for anyone and everyone. Why am I doing this? I'm honestly not too sure, but again, since I'm just going freely with this without having any restrictions, deadlines, or having any proper structures, and I just want to treat this tutorial more like my creative and life journal. So yeah, hopefully you guys might get some good insight on my workflow or even just something we can chat about. So with that being said, let's get started. So, for my reference, I have the cybernetic characters and some organic characters as references. And for the quality of the hard surface look, I do want to aim to get something like this arm, where it's got some nice material and some texture treatment like this edge wear and some decals. And of course, I do want to do a whole humanoid character, so I think knowing somewhat of a human anatomy is important. And mixed in with these hard surface look, I'm really inspired by the game Scorn, so I do want to mix in some organic elements like these. And although I do keep mentioning character, I'm going to treat this more like a prop, as if it's like a statue of a human character, just because I don't want to do any heavy human animation like jumping or running. You know, maybe I might do a little animation, but again, nothing too intense, right? And here is my beautiful AAA concept art. And again, for the most part, this isn't for a client or work. I just wanted to go freely and see where I can land. So most of the concept or visualization will happen while I sculpt. So yeah, with that being said, let's get started. Alright, so here we begin. So as a start, Zbrush offers all these base models to kind of begin with. So I'm going to choose this female Z project as a base, and here we are. We have this nice female model. I'm going to turn off the perspective, and under geometry, what I'm going to do is drop the subdivision to the lowest one, so I could pose her easier. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select the mask, the lasso tool, just so that the selection is going to be a little more easier to do. So here you go, let me try again. Hold control and hold the mask lasso tool, and then yeah, it's just an easier selection, kind of following the poly flow a little better. And yeah, honestly, what I'm going to be doing here is just selecting the area I want to move, inverse it, and then just kind of moving the gizmo to where I want it to, and just literally rotating the model, the mesh, to my liking. Okay, so the pose that I'm kind of aiming for is for her kind of like kneeling down, looking up, and almost kind of like praising praising what's above her. And to pose her again, the subdivision is all the way to 1, just so that I could make it into a bigger, easier movement without being a little too destructive. And by masking it, I'm able to just kind of select the areas, focus on the areas I want to move, right? So nothing too complex, a very brute forcey way of kind of posing her. No rigging or animation required. It's just a very simple brute force way of doing it, just because again, like, I just need her to kind of act or be a starting point as a base, and I want to model using that base model as a start, right? So yeah, like, just a generic kind of pose is fine. And also the way I'm doing it, it makes the model a bit crunchy, like especially on where the elbows, the knees are gonna bend, the polygon's gonna get stretched. But again, don't worry about that, because, well, in my case, I am going to remodel over it, and there's going to be a lot of like hard surface design within her. So anatomy isn't really what I'm kind of concerned about with this project. It's more of that general base pose that I'm trying to get. So what I'm going to do now is just kind of fast forward this posing section so that we can move on to the next step. So at this point, you guys might have caught on, but this won't be a beginner friendly tutorial. I'd say it's more of like an intermediate thing. I'm not gonna just walk or talk about each steps that I do, each buttons. If you guys are wanting to know about the more of the basics, like how Dynamesh works, or how these posings, or how even this like moving this gizmo works, then just I recommend watching my other beginner friendly tutorial, or just YouTubing it. But yeah, this is more meant for intermediate artists. All right, so let's start with the next step. I restarted Zbrush, so the background's a little different, but just kind of checking how it looks with the max subdivision. And yeah, I think this is a really good base to start off with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this, and yeah, so this guy is going to be the top mesh that I'm going to still keep, but right here is where I'm going to start having fun. So let's just go to geometry, delete the lower subdivision, and I have all these UI set up, and I have Dynamesh selected right here. But if you're kind of wondering where Dynamesh is under geometry, Dynamesh is right here. And yeah, actually, let's turn on the polyfill line. Okay, so I'm going to turn on Dynamesh. It's a little blobby. Let me Control Z and let's kind of bring it up to like 400 or something. Dynamesh. Alright, cool. I'm gonna turn on transparent too. And yeah, I think this is a good area to start off with. And yeah, like literally this is where I'm gonna have fun. So just kind of going in, play build, kind of sculpting in. Oops. Actually, I want to shrink it a bit. So going to snake hook brush. And yeah, just literally kind of scooching things in so it kind of hides a bit. So again, like I don't say again, but then like my idea is we have this base statue of this female model, right? That is going to spread open, and it opens from the head and also the hand, and it exposes the inside of her. So that is why I'm going to trying to bring in this robotic side inside there, okay? And probably all I'm going to be focusing is just up to this bust area, like just this much. So the modeling probably only has to happen around here, and the rest could stay the same, okay? Like the rest could be hidden, or maybe I could add something on top of it. I'm not too sure what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna let whatever I feel kind of dictate the direction of this. So yeah, let's begin. So this is again where the fun part happens with Dynamesh and clay buildup or snake hook. I'm just going to start sculpting in there, right? So this is where the head's gonna be. So I'm gonna sculpt it in. Just kind of like adding all these details. I want to have like some kind of like a spinal bone kind of exposing in the back right here. Probably it could pop out of her back to kind of show that cybernetic type of look to it. We'll see. But for now, I'm just going to kind of lay down some general shapes, general sketches down to get the flow, get the feel of where I exactly want to go with this. And be careful not to select. I'll select your base mesh because I'm gonna reuse her again once again later. Okay, so just kind of hide her for now. But yeah, let me just Dynamesh her and just kind of play around with the sketch and see where I want to go with this. And gonna fast forward it once again so that I could just kind of focus on the sculpting part. Okay, let's do it. So as you can see, the tools that I'm using are pretty basic. Just a vanilla ZBrush tools, brushes that are available. Nothing really custom. The only custom things that you see are pretty much the layout of the UI that is displayed on my ZBrush workflow, and to customize the UI. That's something that you could do it in preference, or just simply YouTube how to do that. But yeah, like what I'm kind of imagining my workflow for this to be is that most of the sketching part I'm just gonna be doing it in ZBrush, and the part that I will be taking into Blender, that's I'm kind of still debating if I should take more of the final model to ZBrush, or do the final model in Blender. Still haven't decided that yet too, but yeah, I'm gonna pretty much go based off like how I feel like it. I'm pretty moving organically with this workflow, as you can see, but again, with ZBrush, I'm not gonna be using something that is too technical, to be honest. It's gonna be pretty vanilla tool. Clay buildup, snake hook, what else is trim dynamic, H polish. Those are the brushes that I will be mostly using. And yeah, I mean, so at the moment I'm focusing on the body, but eventually I will be moving on to the arm. And although I mentioned that this is more of like an intermediate video, this will be up on YouTube. So if you do have a question, or if there's something that I might have like glanced over that's not too clear, just feel free to message me, and I'll try to do my best to like answer it as much as possible. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so a few things I want to do is introduce some new mesh. So insert it with maybe a cylinder. There you go. And I kind of want it to have some feature of like hydraulics type of stuff. So that's why I'm kind of like introducing it, and also add a nice silhouette break. So again, like still thinking of this as a sketch, but just kind of like roughly placing these meshes to get like a cool shape. But at the same time, make sure to go back to your original mesh so that it's not breaking the surface of the um the original mesh, right? Because they're all inside of it, so like that. So probably like kind of acting as like a muscle shape type of deal. And then what I would do is I could duplicate it and mirror it to the other side. So I have it again set up right here, but I'll go with the traditional way, which might have a hard time finding it because it's been a while. I think it's so under subtool, duplicate it, and then under deformation, mirror it to the X. Okay, so there you go. Also have these guys, and another thing I want to introduce is, so just making sure how it looks. I'm going to insert a Z sphere. Kind of shrink this, and kind of like imagine this being like also turn on X so I could symmetrize. So one thing I want to do is kind of like almost like a breathing apparatus for a robot. Kind of weird, but I think it might be cool to get that nice silhouette. Okay, so just kind of like following the form. Again, I don't want it to break the mesh that it is doing it right now. So just kind of like, making sure this is coming out, but then it will go inside. Okay. Not really a silhouette, I suppose, but and then also if I want to check for the mesh, I'll press A, but this is a little too blobby, so what I'm going to go do is go to adaptive skin, put down the density and drop down the dynamic resolution. Press A, so that will keep it low and nice. So again, checking it. So yeah, just something along that line. I might have to like fudge this piece just a tad more, so that I could see this. Almost following the neckline, you know? And I'm not actually sure where this is going to go, but somewhere around here maybe. Maybe it could go to the chest. So I do want like a lot of like wiring tubes within her. So that's something that I would like to kind of like incorporate throughout this design. I could kind of see like another kind of sketch of hydraulics starting to form. But again, keeping it simple, keeping it only cylinders and Z sphere, and also kind of once I incorporate it, kind of fixing the mesh to kind of fit the shape of better, right? So yeah, I'm gonna keep going and see where I go. So while this video is kind of sped up, I kind of want to talk about like why I'm doing this piece in the first place. So yeah, I mean like I kind of want to approach it more freely, without any kind of like boundary or limitation. I wouldn't consider this concept art, even though I am a concept artist. I'm not too sure if I can consider this 3D art as well. I mean, yeah, sure, it's 3D art. It's kind of like a mixture of me being a concept artist and me being a 3D artist, and yeah, it's just me loving what I like to do and kind of approaching this freely with the knowledge that I know. So if I'm doing this as for work, I need to wear this certain hat, right? Like if I'm hired as a concept artist, I don't think I'll be doing something like this, to be honest. Um, I would be more in the line of like doing some iterations, thumbnails, more of a 2D approach than 3D. Whereas if I am a 3D artist, then I would have a concept already. I would have something that's like already, pretty much fleshed out in a concept form, and basically I am refining that in using 3D, right? So with this piece in particular, it's kind of like me doing whatever I want as a concept artist, where I'm just kind of freely making up visualizing whatever I feel, and at the same time approaching it in 3D, just because I like working in 3D as well. So I'm not really kind of thinking about how long this is going to take, or how efficient I'm gonna try to approach this. I just want to go with how I feel and see where this goes. So yeah, I mean, like, if you guys are kind of thinking of, oh, how can this be applied for work? Sure. I mean, there are some processes or steps that might be useful for like how you might approach a concept, or how you might approach 3D. But honestly, like, this is just me being an artist and me just doing what I like to do. So yeah, it's not really a tutorial in that sense. If you guys do want to see like a pure tutorial where I say, hey, like, if this is how I approach things in Blender, this is how I approach things in Substance Painter, then I have like other tutorials previous to this that I've done. So please do check that out. But for this in particular tutorial, I'm kind of going more freely. I might say stuff like, hey, I'm gonna go to Blender next, but I might not, again, based off like how I'm kind of feeling. But at the same time, like, I'll do my best to just kind of try to explain and try to follow the steps, and show the process uh, uh, properly, I guess. So yeah, let's see how this goes. Okay, let me go back and talk about why I want to do this artwork in the first place. So I had an interview with this company called Absurd Ventures, which I completely failed. But to know the company prior to the interview, I decided to take a look into the studio website and stumbled upon one of their story called "A Better Paradise," and I'm not really marketing for them or anything, but I highly recommend it. You can listen to it on one of their like ebooks or something, or even Spotify, which I used. But no spoilers or anything. In the story, there's this AI that really scared me, actually, and that was the starting point of this artwork. It's not like this is what I imagined the AI to look like from the story, but I just wanted to create this AI of some sort that has this somewhat of a beauty, but it's also disturbing in the same way that I felt from reading or listening to the story. But yeah, like, speaking of AI, I'm always asked if this current hardship, is directly from something like AI generated content. And to be honest, I'm not too sure. I don't feel like it's affecting me personally, but I feel maybe like in grand scheme of things, it is. Maybe it might be like affecting every company out there, which then trickle down to people like us. But again, I'm not too sure about that. Who knows? Maybe it'll be more obvious in a year or two. But as a matter of fact, I feel like AI is helpful in many cases. I'm might be obvious now, but I'm a horrible writer and English speaker, and that might sound normal here, but trust me, I'm horrible at it. I remember always barely passing my English and reading classes during school, and now I feel like I'm suffering because of it. But anyways, AI really helps me in that sense, where ChatGPT can come up with like the proper words I want to explain or write, right? And in the world of art, there's so many ways that I find it useful. For example, like tiny little decals, and like eventually for this model, I'm planning on sticking some random decals all over it. And I'm not really like a great graphic designer or anything, or I want to like painstakingly make a bunch of decals from scratch, so I might just like generate them in AI and just like Photoshop it. As for concept art, as a reference and starting point, I find it super helpful. Although there's never that one image that hits that target, that's something that I want. there are still like bits and pieces from these generated images that I find it helpful to, like concept, let's say like a character of some sort. So I guess like my point is like, in the end, I just see AI as like another tool. It's helpful, but it doesn't really help verbalize or visualize exactly what I want, what I want to express, because the key creativity comes from yourself or myself, right? Maybe for general audience, they may not have particular vision, so like whatever AI generates is good enough. But me, as a creative, I have a vision. I have an exact visual that I want and I want to achieve. So I don't think AI will ever be able to generate exactly what I need. For now, again, maybe this will be a different story in a year or two, but I don't think that'll be the case for now. And going back to if AI is like taking our jobs, I think there's more to it than that. I feel there's a lot to talk about on this topic, so maybe I'll just have to like save this for the next video. But in a nutshell, for me, if this downward trend happened after the whole COVID recovery. People aren't stuck at home. Less people are, so less people are watching TV and playing games. So with that, companies started shutting down and people are getting laid off, and it doesn't seem like it's getting any better. Influx of talents without jobs and not enough companies out there. And not only that, but I feel like it's also where I live has an effect. LA, Los Angeles. I feel there's many huge games popping up outside of LA, especially in Asia. I do get a bunch of freelance projects here and there, but it's mostly from outside of the states. And oh boy, the rates there versus rates here is huge. You guys know how expensive it is living in here in LA. To give you an example, so the rate here as a senior concept artist is about like 150K yearly, and I feel like it's dropping though, because I feel like demand for concept artists is getting less. But in Asia, it's like less than 50K. So yeah, how would that translate to a freelance rate, right? Might as well work at a fast food restaurant here in LA. But yeah, I can give more in-depth talks about freelance and job situation on the next video, since that's another whole conversation to cover. So yeah, let's keep moving on. All right, so I think we're good in terms of sketching with this torso slash head part of for this video. Now I want to move on to the hand part for the next part, the sketching obviously. So yeah, and also for the head, I haven't really done anything, but honestly, I haven't really thought of what I wanted to do. I was kind of playing around here and there. So far, maybe I might do like some kind of like these type of like the like how should I call it? Like this almost to contrast to some of these very hard surface um, metal look. Maybe it might be cool to have this kind of this Voronoi-ish, um, what organic almost type of shape on the head. And there might be like some kind of effect of things kind of trailing out of these holes, right? Might be really cool. I'm not too sure. I still need to play around with it, but that's the idea I have. So yeah, I think we're good with this part. Let's move on to the next video.